So start from the start. Was 2004 a turning point in your life?
Yeah, you could say that. Absolutely. A lot of my colleagues say, listen, if you really want to do something, you need to join a BNI. Over here, most of our chapters meet in like swanky hotels. Over there, it'll be a club or a pub sometimes. You don't go to a pub at 6:30 in the morning. I got invited, I went along. The moment I entered, the energy was different. So the idea is whatever it is that you're doing, wherever, you got to be fully present for that. Now, it's not about the time, it's about the quality. I don't know what your take on is on life balance, but one thing I learned from Dr. Meisner earlier on, and he said the secret to achieving life balance is there is no secret.
Hi, I'm Anish, Ahuja, Director of Imprint Studio and host of our new educational podcast called Imprint of Success. It's basically an educational podcast in a casual, relaxed environment that is at our studio, Imprint Studio in JLT. It's calling in leaders from different industries, getting an insight on their challenges, their goals, and their vision for 2025, and also infusing in a bit of AI integration. This podcast will be live on our YouTube channel, Imprint Studio, on my personal channel, Anish Ahuja, Spotify, LinkedIn. So please shower your love and support. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Snippets of it will also be available on our other socials. Our speaker and guest today is the National Director and Master Franchisee for one of the largest, if not the networking organizations in the world, BNI. Welcome, Bijay.
Great to be here. Thank you, Anish.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for taking out the time.
Not at all. Always a pleasure.
So start from the start. Was 2004 a turning point in your life?
Yeah, you could say that. Absolutely. Turning point in many ways.
Yeah.
Because my wife Anuradha and myself, we had moved to Dubai. BNI was not on the radar at all. So turning point simply because we were making a new life in a new part of the world. And then BNI came along. So from a career perspective, that was a total game changer. And yeah, it's been a fantastic 19, 20 years and never looked back since.
But you were aware of BNI before you moved here.
Yes. So I first came across BNI in my days in the UK.
Okay.
My previous career, I was into financial advisory. And a lot of my colleagues told me, I was new in the UK. So originally we were from Kenya. I did all my higher education in the UK, went back to Kenya, started into banking, insurance, wealth management. And then in 1998, Anuradha and I decided to we got married in 98. In 2001, before 9/11, we decided to make a move to the UK, to settle to the UK. So I joined an American stockbroker in Canary Wharf in London. So it was all new for me in terms of working for somebody. Of course, the UK, the compliance over there is different. I was undergoing qualification. And a lot of my colleagues say, listen, if you really want to do something, you need to join a BNI. So I ended up in a BNI chapter. My first visit, I loved it. It was a dark morning, I think in October, cold. You wonder, at 6:30 in the morning, who's going to turn up? And the setting, in that part of the world, over here, most of our chapters meet in like swanky hotels. Over there, it'll be a club or a pub sometimes. This particular meeting was in a pub. So, you don't go to a pub at 6:30 in the morning. I got invited, I went along. And the moment I entered, the energy was different. Sat through the meeting, everybody was very warm, friendly. So straight away, subconsciously, when I said, I like this. And then, of course, I experienced the whole meeting. And before the meeting finished, I was like, I want to be part of this. It just so happened that that particular chapter already had my category taken. The person happened to be absent on that particular day, but the seat was taken. So I didn't know anything about that. They explained to me. And I said, okay, how can I be part of this? And they said, well, we could try another chapter. So that's how the story started. Long story short, so I was aware of it. We found ourselves in Dubai in 2004.
Okay.
I didn't know anybody here. And
that time you had you didn't have a sound or a secure plan. You just jumped in and came to Dubai?
I did.
Okay.
So the reason we came here was because I was looking. So, we moved to the UK to settle.
Okay.
But having lived and grown in Africa, it's different. Space, climate, UK is good, but I cannot see myself living 9 or 10 months in the cold and the rain and all of that. So I said to her, I don't see myself living my life out over here. We need to probably look at somewhere else. And the only thing that happened was, Dubai, there were a lot of things happening. Dubai was not what it is today, but they just announced a palm product. We'd had a chance to pass by Dubai a few times on a long weekend, or, Emirates, even today, they have these special offers. You fly through them via Dubai. They give you a couple of nights. So I think anybody who comes to Dubai for the first time, they'll be like, this is nice. So, whenever you go somewhere as a tourist and you like the place, you're bound to stay there. And then I think I manifested it. I said, I'd love to come and live here. Little did I know that one day I'll actually be looking actively. So back in the UK, when I was thinking, right, where do we go? Geographically, it sounded great because our families are still back in Kenya. Yeah, the UK is also, in a way, home because we have a lot of family there. And then there were a lot of opportunities available here. So it was a matter of finding the right, job, perhaps. So I made a few calls, reached out to a few people, got an appointment. So I actually had a secured position when I came here.
Okay.
But it required me to network and get to know more people because part of it is business development.
Okay.
I came with that. Anna is a pharmacist by profession. She was a pharmacist, very well settled. And, she said to me, no, I'm happy. And I said, no, come on. In any ways, you want to take a back seat, or you want to start a family? And she was like, okay. So we came out here. I had something. She was going to be a homemaker just to sort of start family and all of that. And then the BNI thing came along.
How did you... It wasn't there, so you kind of introduced it. It was...
Yeah. So what happened was, while we were here, I got a call from the BNI people in the UK. Now, they didn't know I'd moved there. I still had my UK cell phone. And they had me on the database from 3 years prior. And they said, we're starting a new chapter. We believe you were interested. Would you like to be part of this? Until that call, I had forgotten about BNI. I didn't even know that it was global. But then something, struck, and I said, yes, this is something that I need to be part of. It kind of reminded me. So I started researching. I said, okay, there must be a BNI in the UAE or Dubai. Rotary, Lions, all these. So I thought it's a community service organization.
Yeah.
And then I researched it, looked it up. There wasn't a BNI. Sent out an email to them saying, how do you get this started? I didn't even know what a franchise concept is. So they wrote back saying, listen, happy to support you, but you need to have a franchise. I said, okay, what's that? And then one thing led to another. And I never had a vision to do this full time. It was like, okay, I did the maths and I said, okay, I'll take the franchise. But the intention was never to kind of make it what it is today. It was like launch a couple of chapters, have a network of maybe 50 odd people, and that becomes your sort of network of people.
Yeah.
If anybody understands what BNI does, you kind of become, that's your external sales force. That's it. So I took it up with the intention.
Okay.
And that's how we launched our first couple of chapters. But the story changed because as we started experiencing what we're doing, you start hearing the success stories from members. And it's not always about business. There's so many other things. A member comes up to you and saying, this has changed my life because it's made me a better speaker, or it's just strengthened my relationships, or, it could be so many different things. And every day you're like touched by all these different things. And literally, I think about 6 months down the line, I said to Anna, I think we can do this like full time. Let's do this. I love what I do in terms of financial services, but this is much more rewarding because you're helping people in so many different ways.
Okay.
And that's how we started.
Amazing. Do you think the market here, now that you've started and you're 20 years old doing this, is it as mature as the other markets like UK and US from a BNI perspective?
No, well, it is certainly maturing, but I think there's still more scope. Absolutely. So, currently we're just crossed the 1,400 member mark. We have a vision, but
yeah, we're going to get into that.
Yeah.
Your 2025
but
vision.
just a year ago, we were less than 1,000 members.
Wow.
During COVID, which is only about 4 or 5 years ago, we were 500 members, less than 500 members. Wow. So, I think...
So in 2023, you were 1,000 members.
Yeah.
And now you're at 1,400.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we've gone by...
That's a phenomenal
50%.
growth.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. So why and how has it happened?
Yes.
I think it's really... One is, of course, focusing, but realizing that, hold on, there is so much more. And maybe there might have been a time where we got comfortable. When you're running something, you enjoy something, and things are good, you can get comfortable. But BNI is one of those things where even if we say no, we can't really, because we have an obligation and a duty to members. There's so many people out there who still need what we do. And, when you have people knocking on your door saying, you can't say no, because this is making a huge impact on their lives and their businesses.
Unless it conflicts.
Of course, yeah. So what I'm trying to say is from a social impact that this business does. So it's a very unique business, right? I mean, in your case, what you guys do is fantastic, but you could choose one day, say, right, this is where we cap and we are happy with 500 clients and X revenue, and this is... I mean, you could choose to do that, but of course, most people want to continue growing.
True.
BNI is something where you can't really, it's a bit like, when you have schools and you got hospitals, people are coming because they need all of those for what they do and what they serve. And then to close your door on them, if some more people want to have education, more people want better health, it becomes a social responsibility, right?
Yeah.
So, this is kind of that.
Okay.
But we enjoy doing what we do. And then the realization was, okay, how are we going to do this? And it comes down to, hey, we are a master franchise, so we can franchise regions out. There are more people who want to do this. Let's involve them.
Okay. So that's where you see the growth when you started franchising it.
And if you look at Dubai as a city and the UAE as a country, if you look at the population, what it was when we came 20 years ago and what it is today, and then I think they have a vision for 2030.
Yeah.
Sheikh Mohammed is looking beyond that. You're going to have to serve this population, right? So in terms of maturity, I think geographically we're growing. In terms of size, population, the city continues to grow. Look at the other Emirates. So it's not just Dubai. There's so much happening in the Northern Emirates, in Ras Al Khaimah. So in fact, we've just got somebody who used to live in Dubai. He's been living here for, I think, close to probably 20 years. And during COVID, him and his wife moved to live in Ras Al Khaimah. And there's a big community out there. So I think we all get very comfortable in our caves. Correct. And sometimes you need to, once in a while, get out there and just get on the road and drive and really see what's happening out there. And you realize there's so many communities.
Yeah.
So I think there is still a long way to go in terms of numbers. But yeah, it's a great journey.
On that note, do you see a growth once you started franchising?
Yeah.
One of your top 5 questions is, if you would have changed one thing in the past and go back in the past, what would you do? Like, what is the change you would have done earlier on that you think would have been, like, would franchising earlier would have been a better option so you would have had a wider reach?
I had the same question asked recently by somebody else. One can say, yeah, had we started earlier, maybe we got a head start. But, I'm somebody who always believes everything, one, happens for a reason. And, the question asked to me was actually, what regrets do you have? Do you regret not having started this earlier, not franchising earlier? And if I really think deep at it, yeah, one can say, yeah, maybe it could have been a different place. But I think everything happened for a reason, and it's all education. It's easy to say, yeah, I wish we had started earlier. But then when I look back, I say, I would not have learned the hard lessons had I not done what I've done, or had we not done what we've done. Hindsight is a beautiful thing. So with all that knowledge, if you've just been sitting and doing nothing, then yes. But I think for us, it's about identifying the right people and the timing of the market. I mean, look, let's just be honest. Abu Dhabi, we started within 2 years of us coming here. So I think we launched a chapter in Abu Dhabi around 2006.
That's like a year after Dubai.
Yeah. And then we even had another chapter in Abu Dhabi. And then since then, if anything, actually both the chapters closed before COVID. We've tried to revive it. Now, it's a different market. I think there's scope. But Abu Dhabi is not yet ready.
No, that's an interesting take, that there's so many chapters and so many members in Dubai. And Abu Dhabi, being the capital with a considerable amount of population, does not have any.
Yeah, so I think the makeup, if you look at Abu Dhabi, there's a lot of public sector, government, oil and gas. So entrepreneurs, small entrepreneurs, the kind of market that we serve. I'm not saying Abu Dhabi doesn't have it. Abu Dhabi is not very far from me. It's only an hour's drive. We thought we could all handle it and manage it from here, but the culture is different. So you've got to have somebody on the ground over there. There are some people, I think, who can do this. But again, this is one of those things where we don't go out actively marketing and looking, but rather people find us. Just like I found BNI, they were not marketing heavily. I think it is something very different. Some people may say you can or you should be more aggressive. But BNI is one of those things where it's more of a pull than a push.
Has to organically come. So what is your demographics for Dubai? What is your audience in terms of the age, the members? Is there a certain?
I would say the average age of a member in Dubai would be in the mid-30s.
Okay.
Between 35, 40.
Okay.
That would be the average, the mid. Now, we do have members who are well over 60. So you got to ask yourself, okay, somebody at that age group, where are they in their business or in their life, right? So ideally, this is for business owners, business people. And there are two kinds of people, right? There are people who would have a lot of corporate experience, and then they've chosen to set up their own business. And then there'll be others who are literally started kind of from ground up. And then, of course, you'll have people who are now you're seeing more and more of second, third generation businesses, so large businesses. BNI primarily serves the smaller businesses. Not to say that we don't have the large businesses, but primarily, 80 to 90% of our members are the smaller businesses. I think the right age, and not to discourage anybody looking to be an entrepreneur, but if you look at it, perhaps maybe your journey, or if you know a lot of people, I think they kind of tend to start maybe around early 30s.
Okay.
They might have gotten a bit of experience out there, and then, it requires investment, so they might have saved up to start something, or they're mature enough to. So that's a sweet spot. If you look at a lot of people, perhaps in their 40s or like late 40s, early 50s, chances are many of them have now kind of established in their business. Do we attract them? Yes. But the ones would be more hungry, because again, you require a bit of, if you're comfortable, then BNI is not going to really help you much.
Yeah.
But if you're young in business, you want to grow, you're hungry for that, you have the energy,
Yeah.
that's what it is over here. That's what we were saying. Now, if you ask me how it is in other markets, the age groups in Europe or North America tend to be slightly more mature.
Okay.
If you go to Southeast Asia, much more young. I mean, you go to a place like Thailand or the Philippines, the average age of a BNI member will be in the early 30s or late 20s. So entrepreneurialism over there tends to start much earlier.
Going a step back, the core of BNI, something that you mentioned several times, structured word-of-mouth referral. Can you elaborate on that? What do you exactly mean by that?
Yeah. So it's again, it's not for everybody, but basically, if you look at anybody who's successful out there, something that's common with many successful people is having some sort of structure around their life. Discipline. You could be the most creative person. A lot of people say creative people are not disciplined. That's not what I mean. It's about having structure in certain elements of your life, which is going to lead you to what you need. And if you ask anybody in any industry, one of the driving forces is having some sort of rhythm or a structure or discipline in something. So what we provide is a rhythm where you got to meet on a weekly basis. You probably don't meet your best friend every week. Weekly engagement is important. It's so critical. Building relationships. If you really look at the psychology of how relationships are built, when people tend to spend a lot of time together, whether it's in workplace or anywhere, I mean, where do you, if you're looking for a partner, how do you find partners, life partners, wives, husbands? You're not gonna, yes, I know you have dating apps and all that, but really, a lot of people will find that in college perhaps, or they do something in common, they have a common interest and then they meet. So that affinity, so this is that, right? So you're building a relationship for business, of course. Not to say that other relationships don't also come across in BNI, but primarily it's business. So having that, and then the meeting itself, turning up at a certain time, knowing exactly what it's a bit like, let me ask you, how frequently do you got a lot of hair on your head? How often do you go for a haircut?
Not that often, because when I cut it really short, I like to grow it as long as I can, so I can have
You're
different
probably still
variations.
got to get it,
Yes, to keep it groomed. Exactly. Yeah.
So for grooming, I would imagine for men, give or take, you're looking at this list once a month. But each time you go, you're not going to go to a different person.
True.
True.
You want to go to a steady hand, someone who understands you, who understands exactly what you and your hair needs.
So when you go there, he knows or she knows, and you don't have to do much. Now, if you want to go out to dine, you can try different things. So you got to have certain things which need to have structure and it's the same. And then certain things you want, flavor, variety. So a BNI meeting is one of those where you don't want to have a different venue. It's not like, firstly, do we meet weekly? Yes. But the other question we ask is, it's the same old venue. But no, that works. You don't want to distract anybody, having to decide or no. And then, you have the traffic situation you got to judge, right? So if every Tuesday morning at 7 o'clock, you got to turn up at X place. They know that they're expecting a group of people. They know how to set it up. And then when you set in there, fine. You got 2 hours, 3 hours. You want to make sure that in that 2 or 3 hours, you know exactly what's going to happen. So that's the structure we provide. And then when you build the relationships, we provide templates, right? Again, efficiency. If it's been done before, proven, tested, let's just repeat it. There's no need to, if something is working, no need to break it. It's not broken. So that's the kind of structure that we provide. And it provides results. Now, does it mean that we can't add new stuff? Of course, one of our core values is traditions and innovation. So Innovation is still important. I think you still need to continue innovating, but not at the cost of the risk of fixing something which is not broken.
Okay. Fair enough. Another thing I noticed when I Google BNI, one of the questions people ask, is BNI a pyramid? What is your take on that?
Absolutely not. So I think networking might have a negative connotation. There is network marketing out there, or, you have these businesses out there where you have a downline. So they're there's a word for it, right? I'm running a blank right now. But like your Amway, which started this whole concept. Direct selling, where you sell something and then you find two other people and they sell something, and
That's how the pyramid worked in the 90s.
Absolutely. I think the concept is beautiful. So the idea might have been, a bit of that idea might have been taken, but if you really ask yourself, okay, is this a pyramid? Not really. If anything, it's not a pyramid where there is somebody at the top out there and somebody at the bottom. You could say it's kind of a circular economy. Because the ecosystem within a chapter, everybody is benefiting and feeding off each other and supporting each other.
Okay.
So from that perspective, no, absolutely, it's not a pyramid. But yeah, I mean, I don't blame anybody who has never heard of it, has never come across it, or never experienced a meeting, thinking it could be a pyramid. Absolutely, yeah. So till they don't meet somebody or they don't experience it themselves,
they were thinking. I think one of the reasons is, from what I understand, both perspectives, is because there's also a push on getting new members, and there is a point system. They get scored and ranked. Each chapter has that. So there is some kind of push over there where you ask members to bring in more people.
Yeah. No, that's a good point you raise. And that's something that we need to work on, because if you really ask, that it is, a member can perceive that to be a push. Is it a push? If it's for the benefit of the member, and really, I think it's a self-propagating business if somebody really understands it. So if somebody's not pushed to it, and they themselves want to do it, they'll see the value. Now, the push happens, I think, sometimes when the coaching and the mentoring that happened at the chapter, it is a people business. Everybody in their way have got good intentions, but sometimes they can come across negatively, and not everybody is comfortable with that. But if you really look at why each of those elements is important, so for example, a chapter which is 30 members versus a chapter which might be 50 members, we know, and we got enough data to support that a bigger chapter, everybody in the chapter will just do much more. So if you're in one of those small chapters and you see that, you want to do it, but then you want everybody else around to do it. So the way you go about communicating to the others can sometimes come as a push to them. And that's where I think it comes from. The traffic lights and all that, I think, is part of the accountability system. It's one of the core values. But, I've just recently bought myself an Apple Watch. And anybody who might be having a smartwatch knows you can track a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I get a lot of alerts throughout the day, including my fitness stuff, goals, and, it'll alert me that, right, time to stand up, time to make, or if I'm done enough steps. Now, nobody's pushing this to me. I chose it, but it's my traffic light system, right? So I think sometimes you do need accountability partners, and those are the systems we have. But again, we try to make those expectations laid out up front to anybody who's looking. So it's part of the interview process.
Okay.
But yes, it gets missed. Sometimes people come in and realize, I didn't sign up for this. And the reason for all of that, again, is this is owned by people, by the members themselves. So it's unique, right? Our members, who are our clients, are the same people bringing in more members. But at the same time, they're the same people also deciding who stays and who goes. And here I'm the business owner and reliant on, your clients doing all of that.
Yeah.
So we're looking at ways in which we can sort of make that simple, seamless. But again, it's people. You got to be very careful how you actually work around all of that. So it's still evolving. The business we're celebrating 40 years next year globally. But I think there's still a long way to go.
You mentioned accountability. How do you differentiate accountability and responsibility from the head, from you and to the members?
So ability is more about deciding and agreeing what is the objective, how are we going to get there, what everybody in the team, so accountability works as a team, right? So everybody says, right, I'll do my bit, you do your bit, all of us will report in, and giving permission to everybody to hold each other accountable. So it's how the team is going to perform. Responsibility is part of that, where you are given the specific task within that, where now you're kind of leading that. It could be a project, it could be a task, where you take responsibility of the outcome of that.
And that is willingly done by the member, or is that asked?
It should be willingly. Anybody, you only got to get results if it's willing and enthusiastic. Again, how that is communicated. We've just completed our leadership training. We have transitions every 6 months. So I was in a room of 35 presidents, incoming presidents of the chapters. And I went around asking them. They needed to introduce themselves to get to know each other.
Yeah.
So one of the things I say to them, and I'd love to know, what has motivated you to take this role? And it was very interesting to see what each of them had to say. Some people said, yep, I aspire because I saw this person do it. The other person said, oh, I love this because, I can see what value it can bring for myself and all of that. And then you had a couple of people, I have been asked to do this. Oh, so I was like, okay, but did somebody point a gun at you, jokingly? So when you say you've been asked to do this, and here you are, you accepted it, you always had a choice. So have you been pressured or pushed into this? Because if I sense that, then there's something I would absolutely not want. So yeah, sometimes you need to coax some people. It's very interesting. We had a situation once where we do an exercise where people can nominate and express an interest on a role they want to take. And then the team sat around, and the person that they felt could do this best had not expressed an interest or nominated himself at all.
Okay.
So I could see that this person can do this if asked. So I suggested that, look, let's ask him. And they said, no, but he has not expressed an interest. I said, you've got to understand people. Everybody's got different behavioral style. He is very humble. It's not about being proud of yourself. It's just being humble. Okay. And if asked, he'll think it through, and then he may take it up. But something tells me that he's got the strengths to do this, but he himself will never put his name forward. If we can all understand that, and they're like, okay, makes sense, let's ask him. So they asked, and the guy was like, oh, I never thought I'll be asked. And we're like, okay, but why did you not? And he's like, no, I don't see myself in this. So then a few people said, okay, hold on, let's talk this through.
Okay.
And at the end of half an hour, he was like, yeah, I think I can do it. And it turned out to be the best president of the chapter at that particular moment in time. Look, we all come across people. Some people are forthcoming and they'll push themselves to put something, and others will not.
Yeah.
Just because they don't doesn't mean they don't want to.
Yeah.
So you got to have the skill set to be able to read in between. It's difficult. Why should people say it needs to be black and white? If you say what you do what you say. And if everybody was like that, life would be so easy, right? But the reason why everybody is different is because we're all different, and that's what makes the world what it is. But if you have the ability to understand and, the EQ, the emotional intelligence to really, I think so much can be done. So much can be done.
Do you think the most excited members are the ones that are new in the country, were the first time coming, who don't know people just like you when you had come in 2004, and startups because they're really hungry for the business? Do you think are these the most excited members?
It could be anybody at any stage in life. Sometimes somebody could just, they could have been here, they could have been running a business for 20 years, but somehow something triggered an excitement of some sort. I get people who come into a chapter meetings and they're like, oh my God, where have I been? Meaning they've been around, they thought they'd seen it all, they've met everybody, but they hadn't experienced this, and all of a sudden, the experience triggered that I need to be part of this.
Yeah.
And on the same note, there are people who get excited quickly and then it reverses very, very quickly as well, right? Behavioral styles. If you look at, people who have, there's so many different kind of profile testing that you can do. Okay. There's something called DISC, DISC. Okay. And, you do that test and it'll tell you where you are. And everybody's a blend of it. So a high D, for example, is somebody who, you could say is a go-getter. So these are the people who would take action really fast. And you can tell by their body language and even the kind of things that they wear in the cars they drive.
Okay.
If you understand that behavioral style, anybody who is in business development or sales, if they can master the art of understanding behavioral styles just by looking at body language and all that, and then if they mirror that person, so if I know that you're a go-getter, I can behave just like you.
Okay.
And if I knew that somebody else was, much more slow, they like to analyze things, and I connect better with them. And I'll get much better results with everybody if I adjust and adapt myself to the other person's behavioral style.
Have you been this good an orator? I was just going to say that you present and speak so well. Have you been like that, or did this gradually happen along with BNI?
Gradually happen. I think I'm blessed. A lot of people ask me, have I had any professional training? Yeah. No, I think I just happen to be in the right place, and what I do provides me the opportunity to do this, right?
Yeah, that's another thing. How are you approachable? Because 1,400 members can reach out to you. Where do you draw that line that, okay, I need some break?
It's not easy. No, I'm very lucky to have an amazing team. I can count on the team. So, not everybody. So it is relationships. Yeah. My phone is ringing all the time. I get a lot of WhatsApps. Do I get a chance to respond to all? Not always. But I do know that, right, if it's something critical or really important, then they'll continue to call.
You're able to cut that noise, compartmentalize.
I can. Well, I'm learning to. I can't say I've mastered it. I'm learning to. It's not easy. I had a incident very recently.
Okay.
It was a freaky accident. I had a fall, which meant I had a concussion. So nothing serious. I'm here. I'm alive and, breathing and everything. But I went through this where the doctor told me, listen, you're going to have to switch off. You're going to have to de-stress. Until then, I didn't even know what stress is. I thought stress is where you're worried about things. But everybody is stressed. And I think a little bit of stress is good. That's what the doctors say. Because that's what gets you doing things and moving. But for me, it was like I might be overdoing it or too much. And they said, in order for your brain to repair and recover, you're going to have to take some time out, and you can't even spend time in front of, your laptop or your mobile. But I couldn't even watch anything. So it's not like I'm relaxing and I'm going to watch a movie, because, having blue screen and all that was not healthy, at least for a short while. So I sat there, and natural thoughts come, and I didn't say I learned how to meditate. I'm still learning, but that's important. But you can't meditate for the whole day, can you?
Yeah.
Right? So I needed to sort of detach myself. But in order for me to do that, I needed the trust and the confidence that who's going to look after all these people? And the team that we have is amazing. They all came up to me and said, Bijay, and it was summer, so we were going to travel. They said, you need to just take off, and everything will be taken care of.
Okay.
And when I had that confidence that, right, there are people who can do this, and I'll come back and everything is great. But yeah, it's still a journey. Still a journey.
I'm sure. As long as you're fine and all good,
Absolutely.
you're back
Yes.
to
Yeah.
100%.
Totally.
Okay. Where do you see AI integration in BNI?
AI. Now, AI can mean a lot of things. Just the other day, early this week, I heard AI is not artificial intelligence. It could be Apple intelligence, or it could be
Yes, then you'll love
adaptive
it.
intelligence.
It's trending at the moment.
Now, I think everybody does understand AI. So where do we see AI, especially for BNI? I see many uses. So one is, well, put it this way, there's internal and external. Internally, for us to integrate and become AI enabled, us when I say all the people who work at the level that we do, using AI or the tools that are out there, the technology,
Yeah.
I think can make a big difference, speeding up things, not replacing, but enabling and speeding up the different things that we do in terms of processes and so much else. But I think for members out there, the biggest value of AI today, training and lifelong learning is it's a core value of BNI, right? So we spend a lot of time training, and we have online modules. We have something called BNI Business Builder, which is an online portal. So a member can come in and they log in and they get a lot of material out there. And one of the things, what members are expected to do is every week at the meeting, do their weekly presentation, which means educate fellow members. If a member was smart and AI enabled, they could do away with not attending any of the BNI learning trainings.
Okay.
Go on to take ChatGPT and give the right prompt saying, look, I'm a new BNI member. I'm into this space. This is what I'm doing. Help me with my weekly presentation. Help me in making sure that my one-to-ones can, produce this result. Anything that you want, the moment you're given the right prompt, it'll tell you. And then it's about you taking that on and applying it. So somebody could do without any formal BNI training using AI and yet have everything they need to know, and they can become a far better and effective member than many others out there.
But what is BNI doing? Are you on the office? Are you implementing or anything coming from Ivan?
Yeah. So I'll tell you what we're doing on the software side of things, right? Because we got a lot of data as an organization, the data that we have is tons.
Yeah.
So you can imagine with all that data, and of course, we've got to make sure that you're compliant with the privacy laws and the data protection and all of that.
Okay.
But you can still do a better job in perhaps matching members, because everything gets logged in, right? So if you put an ask over there saying, I am looking for an introduction here, if you got the output saying, right, and then it sends a message to the person who happens to have that context saying, so-and-so is looking. Now, obviously, it still needs to be relationship-based and people who are willing to, but matchmaking and connecting the right people, I think AI can do, or it can guide a member in their journey. So if we can provide a tool within the BNI portal, guiding a member in the journey that, okay, you reached here now, so it kind of becomes a navigational sort of, GPS. You can absolutely use AI for that. And what it does is it just speeds up the process.
Okay.
For members. So if we could do that for members, that's fantastic. So we're working on that. Our team is working, and that's just one element of it. Other elements is to do with the whole experience for the users in so many other ways. If you can integrate AI into that, machine learning, literally, we can do so much more. So yes, heavy investment, and I think our chairman, Graham Weimiller, who has recently, so we've just appointed a new CEO, Mary Thompson. Graham was our CEO and chairman for the last 8 years.
Okay.
Graham wants to spend a lot of time in this space.
Okay.
And one of the reasons is taken on a CEO, we can look after the day-to-day operations.
Yeah.
So that he, with a selected team of people, can really look at what's the next big. Graham, obviously he's got a network. When COVID happened, so it started around October, November of 2019, but it hit out there, I think March of 2020, when the lockdowns had happened.
Yeah.
I got a call late February when everything was like, you could hear the little bits of news. I got a call from him saying, Bijay, this is going to be big, and we're going to have to pivot from in-person to online. And we're going to have to do that in 2 weeks. Be ready. We got everything ready. And we were like, no. He was like, it's going to happen. I had to go out and communicate that to our members, and we were just doing one of our large trainings, and they were like, yeah, I must be joking. And within a week, everything happened. We were ready. So it's not that he woke up with this foresight. He has the intelligence and the network to guide him. And we're very lucky. So I think AI is another thing where if you have the right people to be able to get the insights, I think. So yeah, a lot of investment going in there, both in terms of time and money.
Good to know. All right, Bijay. So mentioning Ask, your Ask states sub-franchises and master community leaders?
Mastermind communities, yeah.
Mastermind leaders.
Yeah.
Okay, can you tell us what
Two
exactly?
different things. So, okay.
This is not the mastermind in one of the chapters.
No. I'll tell you something, yeah. So talking about sub-franchisees, so typically to run a BNI business, if you look at it in simple form, it requires you to be launching chapters, supporting those chapters, and making sure that all those members, you can retain as many as you can. And that's primarily what your role is. Now, the model is you could build a team around it to do this. But as a business owner, you need to have the know-how. Like in your case, you have a whole team which does all the technical stuff. But you need to, if you had to pick a camera or something, you need to kind of figure or know at least how it all works. And you're going to be guiding them, mentoring them. So that's the role of a franchisee. Now, somebody who's got no BNI experience would find it probably a bit difficult. So I'm not saying it cannot be done. I have never been a BNI member, and I've done it.
Yeah.
But what we also found is our most successful franchisees that we have franchised out to and the people we work with tend to be members who started the journey as members, rose up to all the different levels. So yeah, we just want to let it known out there to our members that, hey, there are opportunities available. If you ever want to be part of this as a business,
as an investor.
But it's not just about investing, yeah? It's about actually then running it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's not like a sleeping partner, just an investor. You need to be...
So what did it take?
Yeah.
Of course, there is a financial investment, but it's not about... There are a lot of people out there who have the money and they're ready to write a check. These are like the passive investors.
Yeah.
It's not for that. We need somebody who's willing to roll up their sleeves.
Very hands-on.
It has to be hands-on, And that's the only way this thing works.
Currently, all the investors or all these sub-franchises...
The sub-franchisees, yes.
Sub-franchise, they all have been members.
Yes, yeah, all of them.
No one out of, who has not been aware of BNI or has not been a member. So would that have been easier because they are hands-on, because they know the pros and cons?
It's easier. Now, having said that, right, I'm working with somebody in one of the other Emirates who is familiar with BNI but never been a BNI member. So he knows a lot of people in BNI. But then his personal expertise, he comes from a background of training, of franchising, of coaching, and he's shown an interest. And we're like, okay, we can work. Because at the end of the day, it's all about having the right attitude, the mindset, and then, of course, the mindset to be coached.
Okay.
Open to training and learning. So he fits all that criteria, and we're taking them on. And yeah, let's see how that goes.
So what all does a potential investor need to know? What can you share? Are you able to, is there a certain number that they need to invest to get in? Is there a plan that they have to present?
Yeah.
What goes in that?
So I'm not at liberty to share the financials,
This is not you come up with it. It comes from US,
well, we
or
are
do
a
you?
master franchisee, so some of it comes from global, and then some of us, of course, based on the local country and the geography and all of those factors, we have our own details. So it's a combination of that.
And what all territories come under you as a master franchise?
Right now, we are the master franchisee for the UAE. So that's the United Arab Emirates. We have sub-franchise 6 regions in Dubai as a city, or Dubai as an emirate. And you could say that's pretty much all franchised out. Are there any more available? No.
Okay.
Having said that, the whole idea about a franchise opportunity is you have this business that you're building and creating value, and to exit that, you could choose to find somebody else who wants to take over, just like a running concern. So out of these 6 regions, if anybody says, you know what, I want to exit, if they find somebody else, they can do that. Obviously, we'll play a part in all of that. Of course, each of them as a franchisee will be given certain development schedules, which are not hardcore, but they need to maintain some level of growth and, minimal numbers. So that's what a franchisee does, a sub-franchisee. Now, the other Emirates that are available, Sharjah, Al Quwain, Ajman, Ras Al Khaimah, Fujairah, Abu Dhabi, Alay. So all these are still open.
And you see the potential out there?
In some of them. Abu Dhabi, absolutely.
Yeah.
Ras Al Khaimah, yes. Sharjah, absolutely. I mean, Sharjah is like literally
right there.
Right? And a lot of business and industry out there. So ripe for it. Fujairah, in time to come, maybe not ready yet. The whole thing about franchising is we could probably easily launch 1 or 2 chapters in Fujairah.
Yeah.
But to sustain it, you need to create a whole community around it. And, you want to have at least 5 or 6 chapters. Then you can say, it's like, a McDonald's is not going to open a standalone unit somewhere.
Yeah.
They need to see the potential around that so they can support and create a whole. But that'll happen eventually, if not today, definitely years down the line.
And what is a mastermind community leader?
So the other network that I'm involved in is called Corporate Connections. And what Corporate Connections does, it's actually a spin-off of BNI. So if you look at BNI...
So it is affiliated to BNI?
It's affiliated. It's a different franchise. So the principal owner at the top is one, which is BNI Global Prosperity Brands. Corporate Connections was actually spun off from BNI. So an idea came from BNI, and I'll share a short story. So think about the typical BNI member, right? It's a small business, and it generates referrals and leads. That's what the BNI system does. It requires you to commit on a weekly basis and all of that. Now, 2 things started happening. And then the foundation of all of this is give as gain, right? So this only works because of the culture and philosophy where the best way to network is to help somebody and be generous. So that's the whole premise. Now, there are people in BNI who have become very successful and have grown. So they started as a member, and then over time, over the years, they have expanded, whereby they are now not on the day-to-day operations. The business development still happens with somebody else. So for them, the BNI continues feeding them with referrals, but then, those referrals are not something they're looking for anymore. They're probably looking for large opportunity in a different market, joint ventures and all that. And then when you are at that level, it's still lonely at the top, right? So if you can connect with other people in a similar space and use an opportunity, everybody's coming from the same philosophy to help and give each other, but it's no more about referrals. It's more about becoming your informal board of advisors where you can actually, and that's what a mastermind community is. It's basically a group of 6 to 8 people.
Okay.
Who you have a very deep and trusting relationship.
Okay.
Where you can be open and share some things personal. And the idea is to learn from each other and bounce off things. It could be business, it could be personal, it could be family. But this becomes your go-to place for anything that you face. The people you can call at 3 o'clock in the morning should you face some sort of situation, and they'll run to you. So when you're operating at that level, so we had people there from within BNI, and then there are other people who come to a BNI meeting and they're like, we love this, but I don't see myself standing up every week.
Okay.
I don't see myself, I can see this great for my salesperson, but I still love the concept of community. So Corporate Connections was founded as a result of that.
Okay. And how's that doing?
That's doing very well. We're launching our second chapter on 26th of September.
Oh, great. What is the criteria to be in?
So for that, you got to be doing a turnover of at least 20 million dirhams. You need to have employed at least about 50 people, so you're leading a team. You need to have been in business for an established period of time, so you got some experience. And then of course, the commitment is much less. They meet just twice a month.
Okay. So it's basically BNI for billionaires.
I wouldn't put it like that. We do have a lot of millionaires who are still BNI members that would prefer to be in BNI because it serves a different purpose.
Yeah.
We have people who can be part of both. So it's not like you can't be here and you can be there, or you can't be there and you can't be both. But it just serves a different purpose altogether. It's more about, like I said, peer-to-peer advisory.
Okay.
It's not necessarily just about... There are many other organizations out there which actually do this.
Like EO, YPO?
Yeah, perfect. I mean, YPO, EO would be... I mean, if anybody talks about, they call them forums.
Yes.
YPO would be the place to go to. The thing that YPO doesn't do, and EO, they discourage you to enter into business because, there's a potential conflict of interest, right? So because of our BNI experience, we're able to blend a YPO and a BNI where you can build a relationship and still consider going into business, not going into business, but having a business relationship. If it's manageable, it can still, happen. So this, you get the best of both worlds. You get the forum and the mastermind community, and you also can do business networking. In fact, what's happening is, I know for EO for sure, they've started creating communities. They call them needs and leads sessions, similar to BNI, not exactly the same. Because they realize that, look, at the end of the day, all these people still want to network a business, right? So there's a lot of learning and all of that happens in personal development and leadership. But hey, why not business? And people will find a way to, even if you have strict rules that you can't talk business, people will find a way to do it.
Okay.
Why not put a structure and facilitate that?
Okay. Interesting. So that's where the mastermind community part comes in.
So our corporate connections is all about...
It's all about
exactly.
that.
Yeah.
Okay. How's your daily routine? Like, what do you do from start to end? How's your normal...
Every single day is different.
Okay. That's good.
Of course, again, I have a structure. You look at my calendar, it's filled. So firstly, my calendar runs my day. Everything is sorted in.
Okay.
So if you were to call me and say, hey, Bijay, want to meet up? Or it's not like I'm ready and I'll drop everything, I'll come to you. I'll need to follow that. And that's part of the discipline I've learned. It requires a bit of organization. Yes, you have certain slots which you allow for certain other things. But my typical day, there was a time when, I would on average visit a chapter at least once a week. So I may not be a member, and yet once a week I end up in a chapter meeting.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen as much. That doesn't mean I've stopped. Simply because of my role now, and we do have a lot of people who, do that on the ground.
Yeah, I think Anna's involved, as she's fondly called, Anuradha, your wife. Yes. She's involved as well.
So she's involved very much in the back end of the operations of the office. But my typical day would involve, or my week, I would say, if not a day, I'm still very much involved in the training side of things. So either me conducting or overlooking trainings, chapters which are forming, so supporting teams who want to launch new chapters. What's interesting now is we now have chapters which don't only meet in the morning. They meet in the afternoon and evenings.
Okay, that's a very change in the format.
Yeah. So traditionally, 80% of chapters all over the world are still morning chapters. I mean, there's a reason for that. But look, if somebody says, I love this, but I want something in the afternoon, as long as you can comply with everything else, why not, right? Somebody says, I want to meet at midnight. You can, technically. So nowhere in the book does it say it can only be at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
So my time goes sort of so I'll be out of, I rarely go into the office. I'm out on the field meeting people, having different meetings. I serve on various boards of BNI Global. So a lot of time goes on online and virtual sessions because I'm part of the Innovation Task Force. I'm part of a project which is looking at developing the traffic light and accountability tool. I'm part of the Executive Council, which is a select group of national directors or master franchisees, and we are the kind of the advisory side to global on the master franchisees. So that takes up a bit of my time, and then I'm also involved in the family business. I sit on that board. So that's not so much, but every couple of months I'll have again, that takes place physically in Nairobi. I don't travel for every meeting, but there is, things happening behind the scenes. So yeah, I'm involved in different things. And then corporate connections is the other one.
Takes time as well.
So mostly it's all community building and supporting community building.
Anna said, you mentioned Anna takes care of the back end. Yeah. So how do you guys etch out your roles?
So when we started BNI, both of us are opposites in our personality and behavioral styles, total opposites. Okay. We didn't know this. We've never worked together. She was a pharmacist. I'm a financial advisor. She loves anything to do with admin, paperwork. She's the most organized person. Everything is processed. For me, if you look at my desk, it'll be a mess, clutter. So, every time I would get in her head, and likewise, she's not the kind of person who's very comfortable in front of people or on stage. It wasn't at least, and then now she's, of course, honed that skill.
Yeah.
So we were very lucky. Within the first year of us starting this, we went to a seminar, and we learned that both of us are total opposites, and we need to play to our strengths and weaknesses, and we make a great team. So respect each other rather than expecting the other person to be like you. Exactly. So we recognize that right from day one. So now, we have our set boundaries. There's some things that she does, some things I do. We're more than welcome to step over and watch and observe and, comment. But in terms of the actual doing, she is great at what she does, and let her do that. And she knows what I'm good at, and let me do that.
That's great. But working and living together, how do you guys manage that balance? Like, how do you ensure that you don't bring work stress or work topics back home?
It's not possible. You got to probably ask our 17-year-old son, Aryan.
Who, congratulations, he just graduated and from DC.
Well, he is. He's got 1 more year to go.
Okay.
1 more year to go. He goes to university. So he started his applications. So yeah, Aryan is a BNI baby. He was conceived at a BNI convention.
Yeah. Okay.
And he's surrounded by BNI ever since he was born, right? When we started this, you can imagine we only had about 3 or 4 chapters, and it was just me and Anna. We didn't really have the team that we had today.
I'm sure his first few words would be the 7 core values.
Anish, I remember, so he knows the 7 core values. He knows all the BNI lingo. He was 3 months and on the bouncing chair, But both Anna and I had to go, so she couldn't take time out. But he was, one of the calmest babies. So I remember taking him in his bouncer to a training. We had to conduct this training, and this guy was going to sleep. So we positioned the bouncer at the entrance where the people would come in. And he was awake, and he would give a big smile to everybody who walks in. So all those people coming into that training, when a baby is laughing or smiling, no matter what mood or who you are, you'll change. I think, so yeah, He was our official visitor host for all these people who came to training. So he has been part of, we would travel to the US for various conventions and training when he was still little. We'd take him along with us. He would sit in through those days, and he would quietly, do his doodling or whatever he did. But consciously, he knows what's happening. Is he inclined to do BNI when he grows up? I don't think so. But this happens, when you're running a business, how do you not talk about work over a meal? So, of course, we're conscious because, Aryan is growing up, other family members. So you kind of strike that balance where you can, but it's not possible. But look, at the end of the day, again, if you enjoy what you're doing, it's okay. It's absolutely fine.
Okay.
I don't know what your take on life balance, but one thing I learned from Dr. Meisner earlier on, and he said the secret to achieving life balance is there is no secret. You cannot have life balance. You got to look at harmony. And what he meant is, if you're really, really passionate about what you do, and if you look at some of the people out there who do what they do, they are 24/7 what it is. If you take the president of a country, he doesn't have life balance. He's not going to say, right, I'm going to be president from 9 to 6, and right? So he's president 24/7. Or if you take a doctor is on call. So the idea is, whatever it is that you're doing, wherever, you got to be fully present for that. Now, it's not about the time, it's about the quality. So if I'm playing with Aryan, either for 5 minutes or 50 minutes, then I need to be with him. And then it's not about what time you do that. So I could choose to have a work conversation with Anna at 9 o'clock in the evening, but we're having this conversation and that's it. Now we're going to watch a movie, or we're going to do this, or we're going to meet friends. So,
and you're able to disconnect.
Yeah, but it takes time. It doesn't happen automatically. Something's happening in my... But you know each other's behavior style. I'll tell you something. For many people, thoughts race in the shower, right? Yeah. Now, Anna and I both know that when we're in the shower, when we come out of the shower, we're going to have a lot of things to say to each other or to ask each other. What's the trick? Make sure that when you know the other person is going to come out of the shower, you're not there. Because if you're going to be in the same room, then for her, because the kind of person she is, she'll come up with all the, I would say, negative things. But as far as she's concerned, she's planning all day, and she's a multitasker, right? She's a mom, homemaker, running a business. She'll come out of the shower. She's okay, Bijay. So what's happening here, and what's happening? What have you done about that? And I was like, hold on, it's still early in the morning. Why are you asking me all those things, right? But then when you learn about that each other, then you just know how to sort of. But no, there's nothing like we switch off. You can't do that. Whether it's a weekend or whether it's. But yeah, you respect each other's, and you just take it as in stride.
Okay, good to know. We're going to sum this up with understanding your 2025 vision. What plans do you have?
2025. So again, just to play on the numbers and all that. So, okay, lay it out very quickly. The vision we have with 2025 is to have 2,025 members.
That's ambitious. From 1,400. No, how many are you now?
So when we laid out that vision, we were less than 1,000.
Wow. So doubling it.
So it meant doubling it. So that was like, you're crazy. It's a BHAG. Are you just playing on it because of the year 2025 and it just goes nicely? Yes. But the question is it doable? Is it achievable? When it comes to goals, a lot of people work by this thing called SMART goals. Specific, measurable, achievable, if you look at the acronym.
Yes.
And I learned very recently, SMART goals is for people who just want to play it low. If you really want to go for it, then you got to go for the big goals. So when I said, right, 1,000 to 2025, the question really would be, is it possible or not? And then you reverse engineer the whole thing, right? So you say, okay, what is it going to take to make it 2025? Is it impossible? Because if it's not, then you're stupid. I mean, it's crazy. So we reverse engineered the whole thing. laid it out step by step, bit by bit, to every stakeholder, every person who's going to do this. And you know what? It's possible. So we started this vision when we were 900. Here we are in September with 1,400. Now, the only thing which is unknown is 2025 could be 1st January 2025 or 31st December 2025. We've got 12 months.
Yeah, you have the time.
Now, that doesn't mean we're going to leave it till the end, but that's the window that we have. But we know that we can hit. So it's like when you throw darts, you got bullseye, you got the dartboard, and you got the wall. If you're really, really good at darts, you hit the bullseye. But if you throw a dart and you're pretty much okay, you still hit the dartboard. What you don't want is you miss and hit the wall. 2025, the year, is our dartboard. We will hit it. When we'll hit it, no, but we will hit it in 2025. That's our vision, and we remind our members every day, and everybody's going for it.
As of today, how many are you?
1,404, let's go.
Okay, so a bit more than 1,000, so a bit more than 600 members.
Big number, because if you ask me, you know, how long did it take us to get to 600 in our journey of 19 years or 20 years next year? At 10 years, we had not even touched 600. So you must be crazy to try and do this, right? But then if you think about it, it is all possible. You don't go back and look at, you know, the results today are of your past. If you do certain things differently, if you look at the team that you have, if you look at the circumstances that you have today, hey, let's put all of that together and make this happen. And ultimately, you know, why that? It's not just for winning in a crazy number, the impact that it makes out there to society. That's what it is. You know, having 2025 or more givers living the whole philosophy, it just means a ton of business for everybody. So it's that flywheel which is really spinning.
I'm sure, Bijay, you're going to make this happen. Thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed this podcast as much as I did.
And thank you. Thank you for hosting me for this. And I hope, you know, everybody's gotten some value out of this. And Anish, really, lifelong learning is all about taking a little bit of time every day, wherever you can, in the course of the day or the week or the weekend, and take some nuggets out of this. You know, you don't have to listen to everything, but it's just taking a little nugget and then applying that. So do like, share, and subscribe, and spread the message to as many people as you can.